Hi, my name is Dr. Randy Kloss, and it is a pleasure to be doing this with you today. When Miss Tricia Richardson came and talked to me and said, would I like to be part of this training seminar, I said absolutely, because I think health is very, very important, and I think it's not talked about nearly as much as it should be. Most conversations are around disease, but very few of them are around getting healthy and staying healthy. So I want to introduce myself a little bit, and then I'm going to dive right into what is health and how can you be well. So I went to a college in Canada. I got my Bachelor of Science degree, and then I moved to Davenport, Iowa, where I spent 4 years getting my doctorate of chiropractic. I have since then done my Master's in Business Administration. I have written a book, and over the last 10 years, I've worked with thousands of patients in private practice, figuring out what can we do in order to A, get them healthy, and then B, keep them healthy. The things that aren't talked about. The things that are talked about are, you have an issue, you have a symptom, here, most people are going to say, here's a medication for that, or why don't you take something for that, without ever addressing why is that there in the first place, or what things can you do to make sure that other issues aren't rising up. So I'm going to show you a couple of my favorite quotes. Here's my first one. It's, a healthy man or woman has many wishes, a sick man has only one. And I realized this myself when my wife was pregnant with our first daughter, Stella. And I would always ask people, what's the most important thing? How important is your health? And everybody would say it's very important, or they would say, my faith is very important, my family is important, but my health is important too. And I realized this when my wife was pregnant, and everybody would say, what do you want, a boy or a girl? And my answer every single time was, it doesn't matter as long as he or she is healthy. The answer every single time. And then when she was born, I knew if something happened, if she got sick, and I had to spend every dollar I've ever made, I had to sell my car, I had to sell my house, I had to sell everything, go across the world in order to get her well, would I do that? And the answer was, of course, in a heartbeat. Because health, when you don't have it, is the only thing that you will be thinking about when it's there. When you're healthy, when you feel good, when everything's working properly, you'll be thinking about your career and your job and your family and your vacations and all the things you want to do. But if you don't have health, it will consume your entire life. And I've seen this over and over, that people will spend hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to get well once they've lost their health. And the second one is, look to the spine for the cause of disease. This is Hippocrates, the founder of modern medicine, a very, very sharp guy. And you're going to notice it's not look to the pharmaceutical companies for the cause of disease. It's look to the spine. Look inside your body for why is there disease. And when it comes to health, I'll say to someone, how do you know if you're healthy? If health is the most important thing, how do you know if you're healthy? What is health? And most of the time, I'm going to get the answer, you feel good or you look good. Those are the two answers I get every single time. But the problem is, if I then ask, is it possible for you to be healthy and not feel good? Or the opposite, is it possible for you to feel great but be unhealthy? What do you think? And everybody will think about it and they'll say, actually, yeah, you know what? I have a friend who had heart disease. His heart was clogging, but he felt good. His very first symptom, the very first time he felt bad, was when he had a heart attack. Or they'll say, you know what? I know someone who had cancer. They found the tumor accidentally. The person didn't even have symptoms from it. If a person has cancer, they're obviously very sick. They didn't even have symptoms from it until it was found accidentally. So the question is then, if you can feel good but still be sick, how do you know when you're healthy? And the answer is, when everything in your body is working properly, that's when you're healthy. So sitting here watching this, my goal for you is not only that you feel good, obviously that's one of the things that I want you to be able to achieve and to live, but also that your body is working perfectly. So how do you know that? Well, you look at the systems that control everything in the body and you figure out, how is your body working? This is the primary metric that we're going to look at. So if you've seen these two symbols, this is a check engine light, this is a gas light, both of them are going to be in your vehicles. You've probably seen them before. And my question is going to be, okay, if you see this come up in your vehicle, it doesn't necessarily mean the light is the issue. Does that make sense? The check engine light is not the issue when you see this come up in your vehicle. The check engine light is a warning sign from your vehicle that something somewhere else is having a problem. Same with the gas light. The gas light is not the problem. You could take a big piece of duct tape, put it right over top of the gas light. It's not going to fix the problem. The gas light is a warning to you that at some point in the near future, you're going to run out of gas, your vehicle's not going to be able to work. It's actually a nice thing that they put in there to tell you, hey, this is a warning sign that something's wrong. Well, when it comes to your body, quite often you're going to get warning signs that something is wrong. And these will come in the form of a headache, pain, diarrhea, high blood pressure. You'll get all these symptoms, all these issues that are your body's way of telling you there's a problem. Now, we've been told over and over, if you get a headache, we've been told over and over again, the headache is the problem. You're being told, take something for the headache goes away, you must be better. But the headache is not the issue. The headache is your warning sign. That's like taking a piece of duct tape and putting it over top of the check engine light. The headache is your body trying to tell you something's wrong, you need to do something different. For example, if you were dehydrated, let's say you had drank no water at all and you became very dehydrated, one of the very first things that you're going to have is a headache. And the headache is not the issue. It makes no sense if you're dehydrated to take a Tylenol or an aspirin to get rid of the headache when what your body's trying to do is give you a warning sign that you're dehydrated. The answer is get to the cause of whatever the issue is and then deal with that. If the cause is dehydration, then the answer is drink more water. The headache will go away because now your body doesn't need to signal you that something's wrong. Excuse me. Same with cough, tension, sneezing, fatigue, numbness. All of these things are signs from your body that something's wrong. The symptom isn't necessarily the issue. And I know that this may be different for some of you hearing this. You'll say, well, no, I thought if I had a cough, the cough was the issue. Or they'll say, I think if I had a headache, or if I think my elbow was sore, then that's the issue. It's not necessarily the issue. It's your body's way of telling you that there's a problem somewhere else. So when you look at your health, 100% function, and this is the difference. We want you to be at 100% function. Everything's working properly, not just feeling good. So at 100% function, that's when you're healthy. If everything in your body is working properly, that's when you're healthy. 0% function, that's death. But somewhere in between here at 60% is when you start to develop symptoms in an area. So if your function of an organ goes from 100% down to 80%, often you're not going to have symptoms. If your heart went from 100% function to 80%, you're not going to have symptoms. If it goes down to 60%, that's when your body starts giving you warning signs, and it may be high blood pressure, it may be fatigue, it may be that your heart's beating too quickly. Whatever the symptom is, that's when it's telling you there's a problem. Now here's what most people do. As soon as they get the symptom, they take a drug that covers up the warning sign, but they keep moving down this road into 58%, 57%, 56%, and pretty soon one of two things happen. Either they keep going down this road and they start taking another medication and another medication and another medication and they get frustrated because they feel like they're getting sicker, or they get to here and they say, that's it, I'm tired of feeling this way, I'm tired of just taking drugs to cover up the symptoms, I'm going to do all the things that I know in order to get healthy to get back up to here. And most of the things that they start doing are rocket science. Most of you know them. They start drinking enough water. They start getting enough sleep. They start eliminating some of the major stresses in their life. They stop eating processed food and they start eating healthier food like vegetables and fruits and healthy meats and nuts. And they get rid of the toxins that are in their life. They start doing all the things that they need to do. For some of them, they start exercising. Or they start getting adjusted and taking care of their spine and dealing with issues in their neck or their back. All of these things, they moves them up in this direction. And then as soon as they get closer to here, well, as soon as they get above 60%, they feel good. As soon as they're up here, that's when your body's working properly. So this is what I'm going to ask of you. And if there's one thing that you're going to take away from this training session, it's this. It's to identify what areas of your body are giving you warning signs that something's wrong. First thing, identify what areas of your body are giving you warning signs. And then the second thing is, what can you do to address the cause of it and not necessarily just taking something to cover up the symptom. And here's an example of it. Let me give you this example because I'm going to get into how the body works in a minute. But let's say that I was to bang my elbow, and I kept banging my elbow, and my hand was going numb. We've all done this. We've all hit our funny bone before, right? So if you bang your elbow, your hand goes numb, and I kept going around to people saying, my hand is numb, my hand is numb, my hand is numb. And every doctor, every specialist, everywhere I went, kept looking at my hand and kept saying, there's nothing wrong with your hand. We've x-rayed your hand, we've done an MRI of your hand, we've looked at your hand, there's strength in it. It doesn't make any sense why your hand is numb. There's nothing wrong with your hand. I would leave pretty discouraged. I would leave saying, you know what, that doesn't make any sense because I know my hand is numb, but I've had it looked at by so many different places and they're all telling me there's nothing wrong with my hand. Well, what's the area that never got looked at? Everybody looked at my hand because that's where it was numb, but what's causing it? Well, the thing that's causing it is I keep banging my elbow on my hand. In your life, in your body, there's areas that do this as well. And I'm going to show you because the brain and the spinal cord are what control everything in your entire life. So your brain sends signals down the spinal cord, sends signals out the nerves to the organs to tell them how to work. This is how your body works. If you can get signals from here, down the spinal cord, out here, everything can work properly. And this is what's cool. You can tell how important something is in your body by how much bone is surrounding it. Right? God made your body perfectly, and when you look at it, you can see cues as to what's working right and what's not. One of them, your brain, the most important organ. All life starts in your brain, completely enclosed by bone, by your skull. Second most important area, your spinal cord that takes all the signals from the body out to the rest of the from your brain out to the rest of the body, is completely enclosed by bone, your vertebrae, except for a couple little areas where a nerve can travel out. So this area, full protection. When you look at your heart or when you look at your lungs, anybody who told you in biology that your heart is the most important organ in your body, it's not true. It's your brain. Your brain is way more important than your heart. You can have a heart transplant, you can have issues with your heart, take parts of it out, put new parts of it in. With your brain, it's not true. And in fact, in the medical world, if you are pronounced dead, it's not pronounced dead when your heart stops, it's pronounced dead when your brain stops working. That's how important it is. And then when you look at the heart and the lungs, they're only surrounded by your ribs. So there is bone around them, but they're not completely confined by bone like your brain and your spinal cord is. So this is how your body needs to be. So for any of you, if you're having issues with your spine, you're having issues with your back, you've had herniated discs, you've got arthritis in your spine, you're having trouble sleeping, you can't find a normal position, this is going to help you because you're going to understand what normal should be of your spine. Okay, nobody teaches this. We all understand normal of your teeth, we all understand normal blood pressure, we all understand normal body weight and muscle mass. What we don't understand is what's normal for your spine. So when you look at it from the side, you need to have a curve in your neck, curve in your middle back, curve in your lower back. That's normal. When you look at a young child learning to crawl, they develop the curve in their neck. When they start up on their knees, they develop the curve in their lower back. From the side, you need to have a curve in your neck, curve in your mid back, curve in your lower back. From the front though, your spine needs to be perfectly straight. So if you're putting yourself in positions where either your head is forward, like this, texting, computer work, sleeping, laying on the couch, if your head is forced way forward, that is taking your spine out of its natural position. It needs to be curved like this. So the more curve you can have and the more upright your spine can be, the better. Same is true with your lower back, same is true with your middle back. Now from the front, anything that you're doing that's kinking your head to the side, that's twisting your head, that's twisting your lower back, that's bending forward, is going to be hard for your spine as well. So this is the rule that I'll give you. When you're asleep, when you go to sleep, because I get asked this all the time and I'm going to address it right now. When you go to sleep, the rule is if you could stand in the position that you're sleeping comfortably, it's a good position for you to sleep in. So if I had to stand, and I'll have some people say, this is how I sleep, and they have their head twisted like this, and they're up like this, and their shoulders are back, and they have to put one leg over the other leg. If that's the position that you're sleeping in, if I froze you in that position, had you stand up and stay in that position, would it be comfortable? And if the answer is no, it's not a good position for you to be sleeping on. The best possible position is for you to be sleeping perfectly straight on your back with a small pillow or something supporting the base of your neck, something underneath your legs. You could fall asleep that way. And in fact, in cultures where they have very healthy spines, they have very low incidence of herniated discs, they have very little arthritis, like in Okinawa, Japan, and some of the Asian communities, what you're going to find is they go to sleep, they lay flat on their back, they sleep like that for 8 hours, and then they wake up in the exact same position that they went to sleep, and that position is the same one when they're standing up straight. That's their position. So if you're wondering, how should I be sleeping? The answer is you need to be in a neutral position. If your head is twisted, your shoulders twisted, one arm's up here, one leg has to twist over, it indicates an issue in your spine that really needs to be addressed. So this is a zoomed in version. So this is this little black part from the neck. This is zoomed in. This is how the spine should look from the side. So the front of the bone, front of the bone, front of the bone, front of the bone with the disc in between. When this is lined up perfectly, there's a hole for this nerve, and that nerve can go everywhere that it needs to go. If one of these bones shifts out of place, this second one now, it shifted backwards, what happens is it pinched this nerve right here and started pushing this disc forward, and now all of a sudden this nerve, wherever it's going, can't get the proper signals out to where it needs to go. Now, this is the medical word is a subluxation, but there's multiple times when a person will have this in all areas of their spine, and then it turns into something called a scoliosis, which a lot of people have heard about. I'm going to give you an example of that. But the goal is every single thing should be lined up perfectly so that all the nerves can go out exactly where they need to go. So if you've been told, you know what, I've got arthritis in my spine, it's just because I'm getting older, there's nothing I can do about it. Well, my question would always be then, well, is there somebody your age who doesn't have arthritis in your spine? And if the answer is yes, then why? They're the same age as you. Why do you have arthritis and they don't have arthritis in their spine? There has to be something that's different. And if the answer is always genetic, which there is a small percentage where there's genetic issues, but it's being played like it's always genetic. If you have an issue with your spine, the very first thing you need to do is begin investigating, why is that problem in my spine there? Here's an example of an x-ray. So this is one of the tools that maybe you've had x-rays before or you don't necessarily know what they should look like. This is an example of a 35-year-old guy, and this is normal. This is healthy. This is what we want the spine to look like. So here's his teeth right here. Here's the back of his head right here. Shoulders right here. Individual bones in the spine like this. It needs to be in a C shape from the side with this top bone up, and then with these discs equal and even all the way down the spine. And the disc is a shock absorber. I'm sure you've heard of discs before in the spine. It's a shock absorber so that every time you step, every time you bend, every time you move, it allows the spine to move freely and evenly across the board. And one of the issues, and there's scenarios where there's car accidents or there's sports accidents or there's years of postural issues, maybe sitting in front of a TV, and there are things that you can't necessarily just address yourself. You may need some help or an x-ray to identify it. But one of the things that I see often, and this is true in the spine, this is true in the joints, in your wrists, in your elbows, in your knees, in your ankles, is if you're dehydrated, two things. One, if you're dehydrated, your body doesn't have enough water, or if you have too many inflammatory substances in your body, those two things are what's going to hurt or destroy the disc over time. And it could be the disc in your spine, or it could be the disc in your knee, or it could be the disc in your elbow or in your shoulder, all the different joints. And the discs are a little bit different. They're not called discs in other areas of your body, but the equivalent, the cartilage, that's right there, it will be destroyed if it doesn't get enough water or if it gets too much inflammation. So here's an example. If you're drinking soda right now, if you're drinking soda every single day, the very first thing, and saying, I have a problem with my spine. I have an issue in my neck or my back or my hips or my knees or my ankles or my joints. One of the first things that I tell every single person is you need to eliminate all soda out of your diet. Why? Because it's inflammatory. It's causing inflammation in your joints. It's the very first thing you need to do. Eliminate soda. Change it with something else that doesn't have sugar, doesn't have chemicals. You can change it with sparkling water. You can change it with tea. You could change it with black coffee even if you need to. Whatever you need to do to get rid of the soda, to get rid of some of the inflammation in your joints. And then the second thing you need to do is you need to drink half of your body weight in ounces in clean water. And someone will say, well, does tea count as water? No, it doesn't count as water. Does coffee count as water? No. Does soda count as water? Nope. Don't ask about soda. Already said, don't have any more soda right now. So the question is, how much water do you need? As a minimum, you need half of your body weight in ounces every single day as a minimum. So if you weigh 200 pounds, you need to measure out 100 ounces of water at the beginning of every single day and make sure you drink that entire thing. And why am I talking about this? Someone will say, I have a back issue or a neck issue or a knee issue. Why are you talking about drinking enough water? Well, the answer is, if your body doesn't have enough water, that's causing your joints to hurt. That's causing your joints to degenerate because all of that cartilage needs water in order to function properly. Think of it like a sponge. If you have a sponge and you squish it together, all the water is gone, and then you try to move it or you try to use it as a shock absorber, it doesn't work very well. It's been squished together, dehydrated, lost all its water. Now, if you take that sponge, give it water, start to move it around, pretty soon what happens? It gets big, and then you can move it. It can act as a shock absorber. It works very well. The same is true of your discs as well. So I want you to keep that absolute first thing I want you to keep in mind, because it costs nothing. It takes very, very little time, but almost nobody's doing it. 100 ounces of water, measure it out every single day, and then do it every single day. And at least, I would encourage you to do this. Do it at least 14 days, every single day, try it. See what it does to your body. You'll be amazed at how much better you feel when you wake up, at how much better your joints feel, and at how much better you sleep during the night, because now your body's being nourished with what it needs. If you only have a little bit of water in your body, for those of you who are saying, I only drink 1 glass a day or 2 glasses a day, your body is going to take that little amount of water that it has, and it's going to use it for your heart, and it's going to use it for your brain. Every other area of your body is going to be neglected because it doesn't have enough, and your body's going to try to figure out, how do I save it? How do I get it? Because I'm not getting nearly enough water. Here's an example. I talked about scoliosis a little bit. When you have a large curvature of the spine, this is a person's back, this moving into a scoliosis. This is from behind. So this is her hips down here, bones in her spine down here. Whenever you're looking at the spine, it needs to be perfectly straight from behind. And you can see this, right? It's very obvious. There's a large curvature through her spine right here. And she was saying, I don't know how it got there. I don't know why it's there, but I know that I've been having lower back pain constantly. I know that I've been having menstrual cramps all the time. She said, why is it there? And we looked at her spine, figured out what she needed to do, and within time, we got her back to almost straight, almost exactly where she needs to be. And she said, man, this is amazing, changed her life. She actually went to school to become a chiropractor. Why? Because she figured out that back pain wasn't the issue. If you have back pain, you can take a drug all day long, but if you're not addressing the reason why you have a back issue or a neck issue or a headache or a knee issue, then it's never going to get better. Here's some examples. I put these together for you to see. You'll see, and I see this in children, but I also see it in working adults, is they'll have a bag or a backpack that is way too big for them. So they'll have their 40 pound, 50 pound, and they put it over top of their shoulders and they're walking like this all day long and it's too heavy for them. Or they have a really heavy bag, you can see an example, or purse, and it's pulling on their shoulder, or they're walking crooked because of it, and they're carrying around things that they don't necessarily need. They're carrying around things just in case. The goal is, you should be carrying as little as possible on your spine, and when you do have to carry it, you have it evenly dispersed across different parts of your body. So instead of just maybe holding this over one shoulder, you should be crossing it over top of her body so the weight can be evenly dispersed. Texting, that's a huge one. I'm seeing that all the time right now. Text neck, we talk about a lot. You've probably heard that phrase before. If you're texting, you want your body in as neutral and upright as a position as possible. If you're finding yourself at night hunching, slouching, pushing yourself, or even during the day, and you're texting or you're playing a game or you're on your phone, that's so bad for your spine, it will begin to cause issues for you. Even if it's not right now, it will at some point cause issues for you. And I get on all the 10-year-olds and 12-year-olds and 15 and 18 and 20-year-olds because they're doing this all day long and they're saying, well, my neck's not that bad yet. But if you keep doing it time after time after time, it's going to cause issues. If you go into a nursing home and you go to look at the posture of everybody in the nursing home, everybody there, and I'll say this, and I've asked this hundreds of times, I'll say, what's the posture of all the sick people in a nursing home? How's their posture? And everybody says, oh no, they're slouched. Their head is forward, they're hunched forward. And I said, it's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence that you walk into a nursing home and you see where all the sick people congregate and almost all of them are fully hunched forward. Why is that? It's because that position is hard for your body. That position shuts down the function of the nerves. That position shuts down airflow into your lungs, so you have to breathe differently. That position turns off some of the most important muscles that you need, overuses some of the muscles that you don't need to use as much. So the best thing that you can do for yourself when you're texting, when you're sleeping, when you're holding something, when you're in front of the computer, when you're carrying a bag, the best thing that you can do for yourself is make sure, one, do you need to be in that position, or can you put yourself in more of an upright position? If you can put yourself in an upright position, do that immediately. The second thing, do I need to be carrying all this weight with me? If it's a bag or if it's a purse or you're carrying something, do I need to be carrying it, or is there things that I can take out to make it more efficient, which will then save your spine? So I hope some of these things helped you. I know that it's a lot of information. I know that some of it's new and maybe you haven't heard a lot of it before, but my goal is I want you to start questioning. I want you to start thinking, and I want you to start saying, how can I be healthier? Even if you don't know all the answers yet, I want you to take a journey to begin saying, I want to be well, I want to be healthy, I don't want to rely on medications, I don't want to end up having surgeries. At the end of the day, if you're going to live to be 80 to 100 years old, which some people say, I don't want to live to be that long, or I don't think I will. Even if you're saying that, you might. If you make it to 80 years old, or 90 years old, or 100 years old, you will look back at what you're doing in your 60s, and your 50s, and your 40s, and you will either say to your previous self, thank you for taking good care of me. Thank you for doing all the things that you didn't necessarily want to do, but that you did do. Thank you for investing into your health. Thank you for investing into your fitness and your energy and your exercise and your spine and your body. Or you'll be 80 years old and you'll be looking back and saying, I feel terrible. I'm not as healthy as I want. I wish I would have taken better care of myself when I was in my 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s. And I promise you this, I've never talked to an 80-year-old who said, I wish I did less for my health and my body when I was younger. Every 80-year-old I've ever talked to, I said, if you could go back and invest more money and more time into your health when you're younger, into getting healthy and then also staying healthy, would you do that? Every single one that I've ever talked to has said, absolutely, I would spend more time on my health, I would spend more money on my health, and I would be invested in staying healthy if I knew that I was going to live this long. I want to tell you that right now. If you can do it, do it. Begin on the journey in order to get yourself healthy, because it will be the most rewarding and it'll be the best investment that you'll ever make in yourself. So I appreciate you guys learning. I'm going to be open for question and answers. If you have any specific questions, I'm going to be available, and I want you to ask them too. And for some of you, you're going to take this and maybe it'll bounce around in your head a little bit and you'll apply something. Some of you may take some of this and you'll say, I'm hungry for information. You want to learn more and more. Wherever you're at, I just encourage you to start on the journey of being well. Not just feeling good and not just taking whatever pharmaceutical maybe there is. And I'm not going to tell you do or don't take pharmaceuticals, but what I'm going to tell you is get your body so healthy that you don't need anything else. Get your body so well, take such good care of yourself that you don't even have to worry about any of the other stuff because your body's working properly. So I appreciate you guys. I will be available, and I love what you guys are doing. Keep on your journey.